Shirley Davis, 11177 Curtis Road, Northeast. I've lived here since '53, and in the '80s we did a cancer incidence study. We didn't expect the health department to find a problem because there had been 5 previous studies in Pennsylvania and all were denied that anything was causing cancer. But you know, Nantiglow and these other sites where runoff from land mining and that kind of thing went on. And we found at the end, they said, no, we didn't have a problem, but we found also, Ann Sutton and I stood in the office at Temco and we counted at least a dozen cases of cancer that nobody reported. So that was an aspect that was underreported. And we also found, Iva Sherrod put on the map the sites of these incidences of various kinds of cancer. We found that it followed streams. And it followed the sites of old dumps, especially the rare types of cancer, followed the old dumps. And so we had to figure out, we couldn't do anything about it, but we should make you aware that eventually these contaminants are going to end up in Lake Erie, and that's where we get our water. And we have to think about how much we have, whether we can prevent it, and I think it was the driller who said that there were some chemicals they used that were not approved by the state government. We have to think about whether we're going to give them a permit to use these chemicals that aren't approved and whether we're going to do anything about it. Now, I want to know what the DEP did for the Seymour family up on Town Line Road when they were having all that problems with having to breathe in that sulfur from the wells. I don't think they did anything for them, did they?
I'm not familiar with it, so.
They had numerous illnesses, and our neighbors have a well that is not capped. It's an old well, and they have had all kinds of health problems in that family. Especially one house is downwind of this well. And they have another well that's been drilled by EnviroGas, and they have not put up, they've taken over it, commercial use is finished, they have not put up the bond to have that well capped. Now, you say that this is in the laws, but you have to have people who are willing to obey the laws before the laws mean anything. And we have to consider that aspect.
Well, if these are abandoned wells, it's abandoned well is, if it's not producing within a year, it's supposed to be plugged.
Yes, the one neighbor before she died had a hot plate on her back porch, back room, and she ran it constantly day and night to use up this methane that was coming from that well. When the new family bought the house, they cut off that pipe and plugged it, and this apparently is now going into the air. So we need to be thinking about what we have already and how much more the environment and people's health can take. And we have to think about what Hammermill did. When the lake the ice would leave the lake in the spring, there'd be all kinds of soap all over the soap bubbles, which was probably their phosphorus, on the beaches for as far as you could see. And cancer treatment occurs along the lakes and the rivers. If you think about where the major cancer centers, they are on the lakes and the rivers, and cancer drugs are radioactive a lot of the times, and they go into the water from the excrement from people's bodies, and they have a half-life. Before the half-life starts, that material has to enter the waterways, and it's released a bigger concentration in the spring than any other time because the lake freezes. And we have to think about what we're doing to the environment and whether these chemicals they're going to use should be approved before they're used. Thank you.